We're going to go inside in just a moment. We're going to give you guys a behind-the-scenes look at this radio station and what we've done to set it up to live broadcast with video and audio.
Yes, we're so happy to be able to touch base with our partner Julia Sherwin, who has recently worked at this radio station, a long history of radio in her past. So she's going to dive into the succession of radio and the progression of that, implementation with the digital world, and moving forward.
So we're so excited. We're going to take you guys inside to see how we're live streaming a radio here in downtown Westchester, Pennsylvania, while they're at the seam. And now we're just giving them a behind-the-scenes look. Here's our wide-angle camera, our PTZ camera, and then the last one here is our Z-Cam. So now we're going to go ahead and cut to the real live broadcast here. In fact, Mike cut a little early there. Cam.
There's a lot of technology
so now
here.
We're
These
go
are
ahead
the
and cut to
PTZOptics cameras, which you may be able to see as well. We've got the studio lit up with lights, and we're going to bring you behind the scenes today of a real live radio broadcast. So I'm going to welcome my friends from PTZOptics, Paul Richards and Tess Protesto.
Thank you for having us, Julia.
It's great to have you both here, and I know you started outside with the backpack, and you know, tell me a little bit, Paul, about this technology and you know how traditional media outlets like radio stations can leverage live streaming.
Yeah, so it's really quite incredible, and so much of it has happened in the past few years. As all of us are going to have to start to get used to technology moving faster and faster. One of the great things about this is that radio stations starting today, businesses starting today can leapfrog a lot of the old analog technology. Now things are happening in the cloud, and it's powered by big companies like Microsoft and IBM and Amazon. And we're just tapping into these humongous social media websites like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and then now we're also live streaming on LinkedIn. That's brand new. So we're tapping into all of these awesome social media sites, and from a business perspective, seeing amazing results.
And I think it's really important to note that Nielsen research that radio. It's a multi-generational kind of. I mean, people here in the studio, we've got people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they've come from that traditional medium of radio and what it offered. But it's not dead; it's here. And if you just kind of converge this new technology with what's existing, radio stations are going to continue to thrive.
I definitely believe that, and I would love to look at some of the statistics with you. I love radio. I listen to it all the time. Many people, obviously, who commute listen to radio all the time. I've never actually been on live radio. This is the first time Tess and I have ever been on the radio, so I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous. And I don't get that nervous when I live stream.
I'm nervous behind camera, so it's fair. It's a good switch.
And Bree Ezro is our producer extraordinaire, of course. And as I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, I was a host here for several years in Westchester. And it's just been a fantastic experience. Most new guests are very nervous. And then I say, it's just like having a conversation around your kitchen table. Just tell me about what it is that you want to talk about. And in fact, today we will be interviewing somebody local to the community to talk about an upcoming music festival that's happening this weekend in Westchester, Pennsylvania, the Turk's Head Music Festival. Of course, we're here in Westchester. You can reach us, see this stream, hear this stream anywhere in the world. Westchester, Pennsylvania is the county seat of Chester County, which is the biggest county in Pennsylvania. We're a suburb of Philadelphia. A lot of things happen here locally. So as a radio host here, I enjoyed that opportunity to interview community leaders, people who were running for elected office, nonprofit leaders, local authors, and even people who are from other places in the country who are very well known nationally, and they can simply call in and you can interview them that way. So I think the live stream brings a nice, rounds out that situation, especially when you have the callers call in. Tell me a little bit about how that would work and how your audience could hear them.
Sure. So we're very interactive with our audience. Sometimes, maybe Tess could take this question, it's a little difficult when you're live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube to manage all of those chat rooms, but I can see right here that Tess has the chat room open.
Yeah, and to note for our YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn viewers right now, we are chatting solely on YouTube. And for those of you listening over the radio, you can tune into the live video portion of this show on PTZOptics social media platforms. So just blending the two together today.
So generally, we're very active with our audience. They are reaching out to us, asking us questions, and one of the biggest and best things that have happened for us is listening to our audience. Many of our audience members are more technical and more knowledgeable than Tess and I. So I first started live streaming about 5, almost 6 years ago, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't know anything like what I know now, but at the very beginning, I was worried. I was like, oh no, this person's telling me to do this. This person's telling me I need a hair light. This person's telling me, I don't have the cameras in the right position. And I would kind of brush it off, but then I realized the audience is giving us great information. Yes, it's a little bit critical, but if you take that and take it to heart and learn from your audience, we have done that time and time again, year after year, and just made those miniature improvements. And thank you so much, everyone in our audience who has given us those intermediary steps to help us learn how to be a television broadcaster, because today television is actually dying. I don't think radio is dying, but television really is.
And the statistics show that television viewership is dropping off slowly each year. But I think you made a great point about your audience, because maybe people in my generation said, oh, what's YouTube for? And that's kids are gaming, but they've truly grown into professional producers of content, and that's what audiences are demanding now. So maybe it took off a little bit more slowly in the beginning, but now it's really a big thing.
It certainly is, yeah. And I'm so happy to be on radio now. It's our very first time. Radio, and maybe you could tell me a little bit more about this, but the AM radio station on the airwaves has a radius that covers Chester County, maybe a little bit beyond. But you guys also have an online app that allows listeners from anywhere in the world, correct?
That's correct, and so you wouldn't have to worry about the capability of our signal. You could listen remotely.
What was the
anywhere.
app that you had mentioned earlier? Tune in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tune in.
And would they have to look for WCHE or 1528?
You can just do a search on WCHE and reach us that way. So that's easy, but you can also go to the website, WCHE1520.com. There's actually an icon on the homepage that Listen Live, and then you can just click on that, and that's another way to listen to the stream.
Okay, I'm sure some of our stream viewers would be interested in taking a listen.
And you may have noticed, for those who are watching the stream right now, Bree is our producer. So when I would have a show like this and she holds up a finger, that means a minute till break. So we're going to have to, in radio, of course, we are a commercial radio station. So we're supported by local businesses and sponsors. So we do take a break so we can hear from them. And that's something that, you
behind the scenes real quick.
Okay. You going to do that right now?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
This will only take a moment. All right, ready?
We're coming back.
Okay, so we are live broadcasting right now. I just want to show you guys behind the scenes the technology. So as you can see here, we have our IP router. We have our audio coming in from the audio box over here. You can see this is the normal audio. We have our PTZ camera here, which uses us to get a close-up of each of the guests. We have our wide-angle camera here. We have to give us a wide angle, and we have just all the audio coming from the radio station simply coming into one USB audio interface. This is our PTZOptics producer kit, and you can see here we're actually running all the cameras over the NewTek NDI, which is really great. It allows us to quickly, if you can see here, Brian, show this here. It allows us to quickly pan, tilt, and zoom between multiple systems. So we have a wide angle setup, a close up here. This is where we have our close up camera. And I have the ability to actually actually zoom that camera in as well. So just give you an idea, we're going to obviously do another video that shows you guys behind the scenes how this is all working. And then one other thing I'll show you is that this right here is in the cloud. So that's how I'm switching between this live view backpack system and the radio station. So let's get back to our radio system. If you guys have any questions on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, just let us know in the comments. We're actually
distances. I always thought it was fascinating. I mean, we have people who listen who are ham radio operators. So just the whole radio medium is sort of an interesting thing to study.
I remember learning about this. Shout out Dr. Thompson, MassComm. Do you remember that, Bree?
Absolutely.
Westchester University grads here.
I had him a year and a half ago.
Shout out Dr. Thompson. It's really interesting, but it did totally slip my mind, so it's cool to be refreshed on that.
Yeah, it's truly fascinating to think about it. And, when we have weather problems, or, I mean, there have been times where I believe that we've had hurricanes and things like that where, the only thing that you can get is sometimes your local radio station.
Old trusty.
Yep. Right.
So we have Paul back with us. What were we going to share with the audience today in terms of this tips for live streaming a radio show?
Yes. So generally, obviously, radio stations are not set up for like television stations. But the amazing kind of thing that's happening now is very affordably, radio stations can almost become television stations. And it really, I think, works well today with podcasting. Podcasting is working so well because it's available anytime. Viewers, if they're very interested in Joe Rogan's one of the number one podcasters, they can listen to it when they get home. I like to listen to it when I'm shopping at the grocery store. Right? And so what a lot of radio stations can do is start to live stream, and they're not just live during that 1 hour during the day when someone might be at work, but now it's being posted on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and Twitter, and LinkedIn, and viewers can log in and comment and engage with it on their own time. And that's one of the biggest things that has changed over the years. Instead of just broadcasting into the ether and hoping that people are listening, it's now being recorded, it's available on demand. And for someone like you, Julia, I was kind of joking with you, you've done all these broadcasts. Wouldn't it be nice to have an archive with actual video showing what the person was wearing, what their facial reactions was? And there's so much value for a radio station to add that video component and be distributing it through all these social media networks.
Yeah, it's a great point, Paul, especially because, some of the broadcasts, and Bree can attest to this because she was with me the whole time, they were emotional. They were really raw. They were about, personal stories. And to have that video component would make a big difference.
Yeah, so the video component's amazing, and the issue is a lot of radio stations simply are not set up for video. We came in here, there is literally one light, and it's just shooting down. And that's fine for a radio station, and no one knows that it's not lit up. But when you're on television or a live stream, you want to light people's faces, and you can see here we have lights that are shining directly into our face. Might be a little uncomfortable for a radio host who'd never been in that situation, but it makes a huge difference for the audience to be able to really see faces and what's going on. So one of our first tips is don't forget when you're live streaming with radio, you have to think about lighting.
And on some of the popular stations, I know we were talking about Preston and Steve earlier, they're doing fun activities in the studio. They've brought in some sort of character or they're playing a game. I love being able to see on radio stations that carry a video aspect, they're able to share a portion of whatever that topic was that you were only listening to, and then you can go back and watch the video element.
Well, didn't Howard Stern kind of was one of the pioneers with that?
Yeah, I think all of the radio broadcasters that are really major definitely have already done this. But I think that there are thousands of small radio stations who are just a little bit unsure, what does it mean to broadcast it? What are the things we consider? And so Julie and I sat down and made a list of 10 tips. And we're going to share them with you guys, but also just comment on, the technology changes so fast. I think it's good to just take a broad view of what all this is and how it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, it's so true. And you're tapping into another potential advertising stream, okay? Because, when you think about it, radio is just audio. So, hey, we've got this video component now with live streaming, so we can actually talk about your product and show it now to
Yeah.
our audiences.
That was one of our tips. We're jumping around here. I think
Yeah,
I'm trying to
sorry
remember
about
what
that.
number tip that was. Consider your advertisers. So
Yeah, that
alert.
was the second tip. So what we kind of touched on the first, camera ready your studio, you know, that involves lighting and things like that. So tidying up, you know, some of the basics. You want to have good visuals and figure out, you know, we had at one point, we had somebody's phone number taped up there. I said, maybe we want to take that down so we don't show somebody's
private
phone
information.
number, private information, things like that. But, you know, our cameras can see, and Bree, feel free to jump in here if you want to kind of explain a little bit about what that unit does and, you know, when you walk away from this station, how things are programmed in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this computer, I would definitely say is the most important in this entire station. Anything that's not live like we are right now is played through this computer. So you're looking at ads we play during breaks, music when there's not a live show. So this is kind of the main portion of the studio. That's what this computer
It's the
does.
autopilot.
Yeah, absolutely. If this thing went down, I don't know what we would do. So I just want to mention this because I think it's kind of nuts. So there's a button there that says Live Assist, and just simply forgetting to put it in Auto Assist for when people aren't in here will give you dead air until someone realizes the issue.
That's the worst thing on a radio station.
Yeah, that's the biggest no-no.
And it's happened. So
yeah.
I would do the news here each day in addition to the shows that I hosted. And once in a while, I hate to throw anyone under the bus, but somebody would finish up their show and walk away and not hit that auto button. And then I'd have to run in and be like, oh.
Yeah.
But so, you know, you learn how to, it's like walking and chewing gum, they used to say, right? You
The
learn
little
how
nuances you
how
would
to
never think about.
push all those buttons. And just so you know, all stations have formats, right? So we play music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s when we're not, you know, primarily it's a talk radio station. WCHE is the talk of Chester County. And, you know, in addition to that, we play music, and a lot of people, you know, they really enjoy the music from those years. So
It's a very homey space. I have to say, I think that you might have tons of viewers who have never seen you guys, right? Or never seen where you are. Or, sorry, listeners. And so to give them that view into the world, it reminds me of some of the churches that live stream for us. We work with a lot of churches. They want to live stream because they want to give perspective people who might be afraid to walk into the church, not sure what it's like in that church, to just have a window into that church through Facebook and just say, wow, you know, that's my friend over there, or that just checked in on Facebook, or that is such a beautiful space. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't have the courage to walk in and just go alone on a Sunday, even though they really need maybe, you know, the Spirit of God could help them so much. And, you know, all the things that many churches here, Christian churches, having, they, you know, showing people, it makes such a difference and gives them the confidence to walk in. Now, just going to radio stations, I think that a lot of podcasters, I think it's cool. I think you got your headphones on, you got your microphones, very homey, and it's about the conversation, but I still think the visual element really brings people in, and you could decorate your studio more. Joe Rogan puts a big American flag behind him, and he brings out samurai swords, and he offers Elon Musk, you know, a drink of whiskey, and you get to see his face after he takes a sip.
who knows what he would offer Elon Musk? It's
But
kind of a crazy one. So, yeah, I mean, it is great to be in this medium and to kind of see things behind the scenes, like some of the other fun things that you might see. I don't know if our cameras can capture it, but you know, live radio is regulated by the FCC, by the Federal Communications Commission. So there's 7 words you cannot say on the radio.
Yes.
Once in a while, you do have a guest who deviates from that. We have a button here. I don't know if our cameras can capture it or not. It's our dump button.
It looks just like a doorbell.
It's a 7-second delay. So, oops, somebody says that, you just bleep it out. And that's
Had to use it too.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Was that really, did it scare you?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a quick little panic that shoots through. I've never missed it, I guess you would say. But yeah, I just lay on it for at least 5 seconds because that's how long the delay is. And to my knowledge, it's not really gone through. But yeah, it's a little panic that sets in for sure.
Yeah, because you know, radio stations are licensed. Okay, yeah. When you get out there on YouTube and some of these other platforms, you don't have that to worry about. So you know, there's regulations with the airwaves. So it's pretty important because radio stations don't want to lose their license. So.
Yeah, and there are some other things to consider as well about some of the music that you may be licensed to broadcast on the airwaves. You may not have the same licensing to broadcast on YouTube and Facebook, for example, and you could get a copyright strike without your knowledge. Something that a lot of our customers deal with. But let's see if we can get through this. We have 5 minutes until, or no, only 3 minutes till a commercial break.
That's right.
So one thing is alert your guests that they will be on camera, because I know, Julia, you throughout your history, you've invited a lot of people in here, and I'm guessing they're not worried about what they look like sometimes.
No, I mean, it ran the gamut. I mean, some people come in their workout clothes, and other people dressed very professionally, so it really ran the gamut.
So that's one thing. Another is tag your guests. So now that you're on social media as a radio station and you're broadcasting, and I think you guys have a Facebook page.
Correct. Yep.
So radios already have some of the things that they need to stream. And the great phenomenon from a high level here is that it's free.
You're helping everyone involved in the process. So if Julia Sherwin's the author of a new book, she might have a Facebook page for that book. It's always great to kind of tag all the involved Facebook pages or LinkedIn or whatever you have, and that helps to build a community, really.
Definitely.
And the very crux of what I was striving to do as a host was to educate my audience. So I just wanted to make sure that they were receiving that information that could in some way benefit their lives. So I think tagging is really important. Review the comments you mentioned. Review the comments. We both, you want to be able to respond and review comments that people are making on social media.
While we're on that one, Tess, is there any
waiting
comments
to chime in here because we are streaming on our social media platforms. It's definitely relevant to take callers, you had mentioned before, but now you have this whole new realm of audience members that you can communicate with. Our friend on YouTube, The Outdoor Station, is commenting from what we had been speaking about a moment ago. The differences with live streaming from a radio station is the audience can be reached on their smartphone. With a TV station, people would expect to need to be at their home to receive the content.
Yeah, that's a good point. And use of mobile devices is skyrocketing.
That's right.
It absolutely is incredible. I mean, you could literally, and by the way, talking about leapfrogging technology, in Africa, they do not have analog telephones the way they would, and I'm sure they don't have radio the way they would, but they have smartphones. They're getting very affordable smartphones from China, India, China. These places, they might not be able to afford a computer, but they can afford a smartphone with Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And so you can access billions of people with these smartphones. And we're talking about a small radio station. Generally, I think that sometimes the thought is you've got this local audience over AM radio, but just imagine when you're talking about accessing people, all you need is a smartphone.
Well, and if you're out there and you're wondering, well, why do I want to Bree, see that? Bree just gave me a signal. Why would I care, necessarily about what's happening in Chester County? Well, I'll tell you, around the political season, as you know, we have another election coming up. It's just amazing how, this area is considered kind of a bellwether. So what was happening here was sort of a prediction of what might happen in the country. So sometimes local has a real, worldwide or more of a national application, and just to see what's happening. So, I know that our previous host here actually had somebody from a Democratic committee, and he was he was arguing with her on the air, and that ended up going viral because it was posted, and because people wanted to see it in other areas other than our immediate area, because it had more of a national implication. Yeah. So I think that's important to remember. So maybe if you don't want to live stream, if you think, oh, this is daunting, this is a lot of work, we can't live stream every single broadcast, maybe there's some select broadcasts that you may have. You may be interviewing someone, like I said, for elected office, or you may have a celebrity who's in town for an event. Those are the ones that you may really want to live stream. So with that, I guess we're going to let Bree put us on commercial break.
All right, and we'll cut to our live view for the...
No, you're fine. I thought he was trying to say something down there. We have time? Yeah, everything's great so far. It might be 30 seconds past.
All right, here we go. So we are back live. Don't forget to put the overlay on. right there. So we are in the cloud switching between the PTZOptics producer kit, which is doing multiple cameras. I saw that our PTZOptics, if you can go ahead and show a close-up of that PTZOptics, Brian. This is our PTZOptics NDI camera here. You can see it's connected via SDI, but also Ethernet, and it's getting power over Ethernet. That camera has the ability to pan until, can you pan a couple presets just to show real quickly? This is our flagship camera model here, and it allows us to capture close-ups of each of our guests here. You can go right ahead, and Keith's our next guest, and we have another. You can see our 12x Z cam there is gone ahead and connected, and Mike, we're going to stay on the live view, okay, on the cloud.
Should I put the headsets on?
Yeah, you can. So here we go. Brian, you can go ahead and hold that now. Come on over here. So we are kind of now behind the scenes here at the radio broadcast. Come down a little. Tess is going to come with me, and we're just going to peek our head through here, this window, and we're just going to talk a little bit about radio and broadcasting. So you can see through this window, we have Tess is peeking through a little bit. They are going to be broadcasting and talking about live stream that we're going to be doing this weekend. We're going to be live streaming the Turk's Head Music Festival, and it's just amazing. So you guys get the fun little chance with us to sneak around behind the scenes at the 1520 radio station here, and Tess has actually got the YouTube chat here, right, Tess?
I do. I am chatting. I normally remind you this a few times when we're live. I'm chatting just on YouTube, so I apologize to our friends on Periscope, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Twitch.
Yeah.
Chat on YouTube if you want to participate in the conversation.
So this is part of one of the initiatives we're working on, is helping radio stations learn how to live stream. What are the benefits of live streaming? Why are so many radio stations learning how to live stream? And just through the process, this is something that we do. We don't just go out there and pontificate about what it's like and why radio stations should do this.
Definition on that one.
What we do is we come out and we really do a live stream from a radio station, and we really see what it's like to set up cameras and set up microphones and set up lights and all of the things that are necessary to live stream a radio station and do a good job. So we've done this with churches, we've done this with corporations, we've done this with music festivals, we've done it with retail stores, we've done it with restaurants, the list goes on and on, conferences. We get out there and we live stream these events, and we always learn from it. Now tomorrow we're going to probably do a little podcast to talk about what it was like, and we also have this great tip list. It's not produced, it's not available yet, but it's PTZOptics.com/radio, and that is where we're going to have our...
I almost forgot that. Good thing you remembered that.
We're going to have our 10 tips for radio stations to think about and consider when you're talking about live streaming your radio station. And now Tess and I kind of just get to sneak around and show you guys some of the fun stuff. So here's one thing I really want to show you guys. All right, so right here, this is an analog radio. So check this out.
Turn it up.
I know it. I know. How do you turn? Oh, it's over here.
He doesn't even know where to find the volume
Oh
on
no,
this thing.
that's not the. Where's the volume? There's bass and treble.
Could be that other knob.
Oh my gosh, we look like...
Is there another knob? It's like, how do radios work? Here, there's another knob here.
But, stay hydrated. Come out and have a good time. Find a spot in the shade. Get there early. Stay
So,
in the spot.
this audio is obviously coming from that radio station right here. Look at that. How cool is that? Yeah?
That's so cool. I can't wait to go back and listen to our version.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing people always want. I mean, we probably got, what do we pay?
This is so funny.
Nothing. Come out.
They're talking about the radio station that this is the 1520 AM radio coming off of this radio right here. They have AM radio towers maybe 5-10 miles from here that are maybe 50 to 100 feet tall.
The ones in Downingtown?
Yeah, they're in between Westchester and Downingtown.
Got it.
And from what I understand, there's roughly a 20-mile radius that people can listen to that. But if you go past that radius, it starts to bleed in from other AM radio stations, one of them in Buffalo, I believe.
It's kind of cool, though, that even an AM radio station, a local station, you have the ability to listen online now, and then also through a variety of apps.
Yeah. So, and if you guys are wondering how we're kind of pulling this off, right now we have the LiveView backpack streaming to Go Easy Live, which is a cloud-based live streaming system that allows you to switch between multiple RTMP streams. So this is one RTMP stream. Our second RTMP stream is coming from our PTZOptics producer kit, which allows us to switch between multiple cameras and bring in all of the microphones, all of the audio from their mixing board into our live streaming system, which we showed you guys briefly. So if you have any questions, let us know. But we're able to switch between this mobile system, which is powered by LiveView, and then our system in there powered by PTZOptics. That's
all
kind of fun.
All feeding through Easy Live. So between PTZOptics, LiveView, and Go Easy Live, we've really made a powerhouse of a stream here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're thinking about this and you're a radio station, maybe you're a local television station, maybe you're just a business like us that wants to get the word out and have the ability, for example, with these mobile backpacks, we'll walk around a trade show like an Infocom or an NAB or a CES, technology trade show. Capture TwitchCon that we're going to capture a bunch of the mobile stuff live and interact with the live audience, and then go back to a studio that we have prepared and do a studio broadcast as well. So it's a great use of the technology here, and we're just taking about another 5 minutes for Julia and her guests that are talking about the local, a little bit more local news. So we thought we would stick with you guys and talk about the kind of behind the scenes here. Michael's here as well, our producer. You guys know Michael. Daniel Wright's commenting.
He's making fun of us. He says, "You guys are so cute, kind of like those videos of grandma making a kid use an old rotary phone to call home."
Yeah, I know. It's funny because
how to work the radio, Michael.
We weren't sure how to use the AM radio, but we did find out how it works. If it was in my car, I feel like it would be easier. I would hit the AM button and then tune to the 1520.
Yeah.
This
with
little
our touch screen
this AM radio
navigation
is a little bit older. We had to crank it up. We had to power it with a power.
We were just looking for volume, man.
But as you can see here, this is a really nice radio station.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn. How are you? Thanks for joining in.
Again, we're chatting only on YouTube.
Chatting only on YouTube. This is a 3-camera setup. So we have our PTZOptics Z-Cam variable lens, the VL. That has a wide 120-degree field of view. So we put that in the corner of this really small radio area. I would say it's a 12 by 12. It's not very big.
For today's application, we wanted to be sure our viewers could check out the entire space. I know a lot of you came from a background in radio. Let us know in the chat if that applies to you, and you might want to check out the system there.
Now, if you are joining our YouTube or our Facebook stream and you are an AM listener of 1520, we'd love to know. My personal belief is that there is many more people watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn than there are probably listening on the airwaves, but I don't know. And that is a question I'd love to ask. I don't believe many radio stations have the ability to see exactly how many people are listening. The way that you can on YouTube, we can see there are 26 people watching now on YouTube. Facebook has similar data. And then when the broadcast is over, the analytics are published. So we know where are these people from. They could be anywhere in the world. They could be, we have a lot of viewers in California. Shout out to our friends out in Cali.
Caesar says, do you have a setup of the installation? Do you know us? Of course, we're going to have a video coming out.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is there's a couple more minutes before they wrap up their interview with Keith, the head of Parks and Recreation. We're going to go back in there. I'm going to make sure I show you guys a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes setup. We have the cameras all over PoE, Power over Ethernet, so they had a very limited amount of plugs, by the way.
Mystic Max said that he or she used to have a program on WCHE 15-20 years ago.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks for joining.
We have a 12x PTZOptics NDI camera. That's our widest angle PTZ camera. So we put that right on the table, and it allows us to very quickly zoom into each person's face as they're talking. In fact, Michael, you actually could have probably zoomed around and shown Bree. You could maybe make a preset for her, because she seems to be jumping into the conversation.
She was going to have a mic and stuff.
So we have the ability to pan, tilt, and zoom anywhere in the area. We have our 12x Z-Cam, which has been very popular in radio. It's a very high-quality optical zoom lens that can be set up in different areas to just get a statically zoomed in. It's much less expensive than a PTZ camera because it's just a static view.
Anthony's local.
Hi, Anthony.
And
How are you?
didn't know that Westchester had an AM station until today.
There you
Glad we could share that with you.
Glad we could share that with you.
Oh, we have Keld all the way from Denmark saying hi. And Drake used to work in radio.
Hi, Drake. Yeah, Drake used to work in radio. I think radio touches so many lives, and it's really just, they can just extend what they're doing so much with social media. Folks like us, like I'm in my early 30s, Tess is in her late 20s, we're just thinking social media, right? We're just thinking, if we stream on Facebook, we're getting everyone. Mm-hmm. But I think that everyone has to realize that YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. Facebook is the world's largest social media network. LinkedIn is the world's biggest business social media network. So there's different ways and outlets to get your content to the world. Radio stations already have amazing content. They've already got hosts. They've already got topics. They've got everything they need.
Certainly have the audio system.
They've got the audio down.
You already got that part figured out.
Which is the hard part, actually. Mm-hmm. And so now we're just giving radio stations an idea of what it would be like to give the world a window into their radio station. What is it like when people can see the host, can see the guests, can share their favorite part of the show on social media?
By the way, I hope we're able to get the radio recording of our bit.
We are recording this, so
okay,
don't worry.
Excellent.
Everything's being recorded. We're going to basically, once all of this is done, and again, this is something that we like to do, go out, see what it's like, see what the challenges are, do the actual broadcast from a radio station. Then we go back and we say, all right, guys, how could we have done better? Mm-hmm. What went wrong? Sometimes things go wrong.
What went right?
I think it's going pretty well.
Yes.
We had a teeny bit of a rough start. You guys might have noticed that we cut to the radio broadcast maybe a little earlier than we expected.
Are we going to move on from that?
I think it's okay. I think it's totally fine. You guys got a chance to see two different RTMP streams, which is really something that's highly advanced, but very affordable, and anyone can do it. So it's just, I hope that you guys subscribe to our channel. I hope that you guys follow us, because in the next couple of weeks, we're really going to be breaking down why radio's not dead, why it's important for radio to start thinking about social media, and how radio can actually extend your advertising and marketing at your business. It's interesting. I'm a big fan of Zoom video conferencing.
Right? Absolutely.
They just had their IPO. Big company out in California and Silicon Valley doing great job marketing their product. If you followed them closely, you noticed they did all of their initial marketing on NPR.
I didn't know that.
Radio.
Oh wait, was that what we were talking about in Slack? Okay.
Yep, remember that? So there's
posts coming out on that soon.
Do you remember any of the stats on that?
No, I didn't read it fully.
But I know that NPR has a humongous reach. A lot of those people are business people who are commuting, who are in their cars listening to NPR radio. And, Zoom, and I think they made a great marketing approach of going to radio first and making sure that radio is part of their overall marketing package. So our company probably favors streaming. We favor
Absolutely.
Facebook and YouTube advertising. That's just part of the nature of, I think, our business.
Yeah, it works with what we're selling.
But for many businesses, a diversified approach would almost definitely include radio, and it would also definitely include social media. So if you can combine those two together, the opportunities for radio to increase their advertising dollars by offering their advertisers an option to show a video element.
Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
In Brazil.
Eddie's from Brazil.
Very cool.
So, and that's something that I think is very eye-opening for radio stations. I really do think a lot of radio stations are thinking about their local community, it's probably the thing that they're really proud of. The FCC licensing that they've paid for allows them to reach the airwaves and all of these. But who has these anymore? I mean, I have one by my bed.
I have an emergency one that is crank operated, like Michael mentioned.
I have one of these by my bed, but I look at my smartphone way more often than, I've never, listened to the AM radio with the radio next to my bed.
No, not for like weather or traffic reports.
No, I would just turn my smartphone on. That's what I'm telling you. That's what most people definitely are. Just go to their smartphone,
Fair
go
enough.
to the weather app, go to social media. That's what everyone's doing. But yet, radio stations have the best content, and people do want those live updates. Another trend that's happening, and we're about to go back in the radio station soon and continue our conversation in there. But another trend that's interesting is that people generally trust local news over national broadcasters. So this is an amazing opportunity for local radio stations to capitalize on the fact that they've got great, respect and, from their local listeners. Can those local listeners on Facebook and on YouTube share this content with their friends? Is it a way for radio stations to grow their audience? 100%.
Absolutely. Drake brought up a nice little tip. Asking radio engineers for help with streaming audio, if you have any at your disposal, is a great help.
Oh, that's such a good point. And we haven't had, I think they're calling us to come in here now, so we'll go into the radio station in a moment here. But for radio broadcasters to be able to save their audio for podcasting, distribute audio and video together for all the social media networks. All of that is extra on top of the airwaves and I guess they do have a little app, a little radio listening app as well, that they can take advantage of. So it's time for us to come on in, and we're going to take one more quick look. For those of you who are just joining, we're live streaming from a radio station here. Really high-tech stuff, and we've got everything set up. Julia just finished up her broadcast with Keith, the Parks of Recreation. We're going to be live streaming a concert for him really quickly.
There you go. I've been there in the past, and it's been a great time.
Thank you.
So
Cool.
thank you so much.
Julie, thank you.
Keith Karowski with the Westchester Parks and Rec Department talking about the upcoming Turk's Head Music Festival this Sunday, July the 21st in Everhart Park in Westchester Borough from 12 to 8. With that, we are going to take our final commercial. Hello and welcome back. I'm Julia Sherwin again, hosting this special broadcast for WCHE 1520. Along with my friends from PTZOptics, we are again demonstrating the benefits and the fun that you will have live streaming for your local radio station. Again, I just interviewed Keith Karowski with the Westchester Parks and Recreation Department to talk about an upcoming event. Again, local radio station, it's all about community. So that's really what, we're here for, and that's what it's all about. So to continue with those tips that Paul and I kind of worked on for radio stations to really get your head around this concept and idea of live streaming. Let's continue. We're, audio first is okay. We remember this is radio, so you don't necessarily have to worry about looking at the cameras or anything like that. The radio component is what you're there to do first, right? So
yeah, definitely. And it's funny, looking at the comments here, someone's asking, is there a way to just stream audio and no video? And there definitely is. So if there's a radio station out there who's not sure if, where to put the cameras or how to do the lighting or anything, you can just stream the audio to Facebook, even to YouTube. Now, YouTube really is a video-centric site, so that might not be the best idea.
Yeah, note that there will be a place for a video, but you could substitute that with maybe an image or your logo.
So you could just start with an image and just have the audio pumped through. But I do think that the thing that radio stations should be thinking about is that audio first is okay. The conversation's okay. You don't even really have to be looking into the cameras the way that you would a television station. If anyone's familiar with the way the podcasters are doing it out there, it's all about the conversation. There might be an introduction directly to a camera, but generally it's just focused, I'm looking at Julia, Julie's looking at Tess, we're looking at each other. Yeah. We're not worried so much about where the cameras are placed.
It's a great point because, a lot of people go into radio because they don't want to do TV, okay? So there's no teleprompters here, nothing like that. So, people joke and say, oh, I have a face for radio. What does that mean? Well, you don't really want to be on camera. Maybe you feel self-conscious, but it's okay because this is just much more of a relaxed environment. We're not, even though you mentioned, you can be like a TV studio as well. You're providing that other component to have video, but you're not trying to be a TV station per se. Yeah. So I think
there's an ancient Chinese proverb called showing face. And what showing face is if you do business with someone or you're in a relationship with someone, that you make an effort to go and say hi to them. in person and you show your face to them. But I do think that translates in the world of social media, to show your face to the world. Without that, you're just a voice. And with that, you're a person that has a face, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, right? And that's the person that you've been hearing. I really think that this window into these radio stations is going to give listeners so much more context that they don't even know how valuable it will be to them. And then when you walk down the street and you see Julia Sherwin, you're like, I've listened to you for so long and I know what you look like. But I think maybe for a lot of radio stations, your listeners do not know what you look like.
They wouldn't recognize
right?
you.
Absolutely,
Recognize you.
Back to that, to our next point, a show intro. So you may have heard that music that Bree played at the beginning. You can even call that up if you want to right now to just play it.
Right now, it's showtime.
Okay, so it's a unique little signature that each of our show hosts have. Okay, so that introduced my show, the Julia Journal, which I hosted for several years here. I had a different one for my parenting show. But with the live stream, you want to have, this is where you guys come in. What kind of show intro would you have?
So with the show intro, you would probably want to have a little video that went with it.
Right.
And talking about, leapfrogging technology today, there are freelancers all across the globe that you can work with. I work with freelancers in Cambodia, in China, in India, all places. And many of them are very talented in video type of aspects of things.
And they can be real cheap.
Very affordable, $5-10, and you could take that audio you already have or you're thinking about, or maybe you could pay them to make you some audio, and then attach a little video so it would show, whatever you want to show, your name, the station, your Facebook page, your tags, whatever you want, can be included in that, because now we're thinking, okay, we need to match up, even like you said, the commercials, like does the I think it was a roofing company that was on that, AJ Martini or something.
Yeah. GP Martini.
GP Martini. He has his roofing company, and all the AM listeners are hearing that. But now you have actual viewers on Facebook and on YouTube, and what they saw during the commercial break was just our studio. But it's very easy to play a video clip that shows JP Martini's website, and shows his phone number, and it shows the installers working on a roof.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, I think 80% of people are visual learners.
I'm certainly a visual learner.
Most people are visual learners. Yeah. And so I've read some statistics that by including audio and video together, people can learn 10 times as much information as just hearing it. I mean, imagine if you were in a classroom and you just closed your eyes and just listened to the teacher versus the teacher creating a really great presentation and you're watching a movie.
That's a great point, and I won't divert too much but I was just talking with one of my fellow mom friends, and right now we're in the heart of summer reading, and it's hard to get the kids engaged in reading, and one of the reading specialists at the school recommended to this mom friend of mine to have her son listen to the audiobook and read along at the same time.
That's smart.
He said your brain, it's just another way of reinforcing it, so it's totally a great way of looking at things.
And we have all these tools now. Even audiobooks weren't really a big thing 5 years ago. It's amazing. Now everyone's listening to them.
Yeah. So another tip that we came up with was, having an email list. So, any business, small business, large business, should have some sort of email list to get an idea of who your customers are, who your audience is, and that's a way to reach out and continue to engage in that audience, because so many times we just go through the motions. You work really hard to produce and create a broadcast, and pre-interview your guests and figure out what you're going to talk about, but and you just hope that people are listening, but really take that next step and engage with them, that email list, keep them posted on this is what we're going to be doing, and maybe it's just going to be, like I mentioned, a special broadcast where you're going to have the live stream.
Just like this radio station, you have different presenters come in, different hosts come in. Say it was Julia Journal, correct?
Yes.
You could have developed your own list for your own show.
Yes.
And you would just send out a reminder when you're going on air so that the people that are really interested in the station just to listen to you would know when to find you.
Right. And I think some people do that. I particularly engage with my audiences through social media, so I sort of did it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're a small station, so I wore so many hats, just like Bree does.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the news, and I was, interviewing and writing news stories in addition to kind of doing the lifestyle hosting that I did. So
forgetting to collect email lists is a big mistake for any business. emails, not only collecting them, but also organizing them. For example, if WCHE, this radio station, were to collect all the emails and not understand that Julia's listeners are different than the sports listeners, that could actually be a big mistake. And then it's a huge asset for advertising as well. If there is a new shop in Westchester that's opening up a store for mothers, they're going to be much more interested in advertising to Julia's audience, right? So that email list is a huge value to them. They do not need the email list of the sports followers, right? So as our business, we always separate, these are the house of worship people, these are the corporate people, these are the radio broadcasters, and treat them differently. If you're just relying on social media, you're making a huge mistake. Social media can change their algorithm in a moment's notice, and you used to be able to reach all these people, now you're reaching none of them. What happened? Email is tried and true. You'll always have those.
That's a great point. And there's a lot of tools out there that, we tend to use one of the bigger ones, HubSpot, but small businesses can really use a variety of tools out there. Email list management. I'm sure you could just do a Google search and find tons.
Lots of them.
Tons, yes.
Sure.
So post the live stream to your station's website.
Yes.
Mark did that today. Mark's the social media manager here at WCHE, and PTZOptics. You guys created that link, and shared it with WCHE so that he could post it. But of course, if they're doing that on their own, same thing. You're just going to make sure that they've got that link. Do you have a kind of a recipe? I'm sort of curious about this for the right amount of time. You want to maybe a few days ahead and then maybe a few hours ahead, because people forget. We're all busy.
Why don't you take that one, Tess? Tess usually does that for
you're
us.
sort of an
At
expert.
At this point, we don't do a notification for a live show a few days ahead because we're typically on a very consistent schedule. So we just do the day of, and I've been testing this for a long time, and I get complaints that it's too early or too late. 30 minutes is kind of a sweet spot for us at this time.
For the email.
Yeah, for the email.
Now, it is important to schedule these posts. There are some people that simply just stream to the channel by clicking a button, which is possible, and it does make things easier. But if you schedule the post, then Facebook knows when it's going to happen. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that before, but Facebook will say, this is happening in 20 minutes. This is happening in 5 minutes. And it notifies all the people who like your page, but it can't do that if you don't schedule it.
That's a great point.
You have a 7-day limit with that. No earlier than 7 days in advance on Facebook, YouTube. It appears you have a lot more flexibility in how far in advance you can schedule.
It's really
stream.
Facebook and YouTube are the big ones for scheduling. On Twitch, and currently LinkedIn is so brand new. They're probably going to do scheduling, but they currently do not support it. And then Twitter is also one of those ones where you start streaming to it, and then you share the link, and it's live. They're not as advanced as Facebook and YouTube at this point.
Interesting. Yeah. And for those who don't know what Twitch is, you may want to just give
Twitch is the esports gaming one. Esports is now bigger than regular sports, if you can believe that. Esports is growing absolutely amazing, and so esports is gaming, video gaming. There's streaming involved. There's competitions. There's tournaments. Some of them are watched more than the NFL. And I was trying to remember, if you don't schedule your post, it's impossible to include the link in an email as well. So you got to schedule that post,
that's a great point.
and then put the link to your post in the email that you send out to your list.
Okay, and then we have our final tip about
Final
using Facebook polls, although they don't always have to be polls in Facebook. They could probably be through other social media outlets as well, or is it just Facebook currently that's offering polls?
YouTube does have a poll feature in the community tab that can be used. It's interesting. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We have done massive polls with our audience that have lasted weeks, that have been live streamed actually, just using Google Forms. So there's a million ways to do it. The idea is to poll your audience and see, figure out what they're interested in, share those results live, and it really stirs up the engagement in the conversation.
It's another form of engagement. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's breaking down one more barrier between you and the person at home.
Yeah, it would be fun, like, for instance, when I had Keith in the interview talking about the upcoming Turk's Head Music Festival, maybe we would have a poll, for instance, like, which band are you interested in seeing? Who's your favorite food vendor? Something like that. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Pretty basic.
So I think that pretty much wraps up our
Yeah,
show,
really,
right?
it does.
Finished in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it works out. When you do this for a couple of years, the timing kind of just jives. I don't know how it happens, but it does.
Well, we had a great guide.
Well, I really appreciate your expertise because the streaming media side of things is something I'm learning. I'm trying to wrap my head around, coming from more of a traditional media background, but it's been so much fun. It's great.
Thank you, everyone who watched on social media, everyone listening out there on the airwaves. Our office is right here in downtown Westchester, actually, on Market Street in Darlington.
Yep.
You can stop by appointment only. So if something of this is of interest to you, you can reach out to us on, let's just say, Facebook today.
Yeah.
Reach out to us on Facebook. That'll get you the beautiful test, Protesto. And if you're interested, we can schedule an appointment with you.
And again, that's PTZOptics.
She's so good saying that.
Thank you so much for tuning in. It was great to be back with our listeners on WCHE. Have a great afternoon.